Friends, and welcome to another video lesson from DBOS Talks. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe and click the bell so that you can be notified of new uploads. I will be uploading 1 to 2 videos every week. In this video presentation, we will be learning some Windows tips and tricks. So I will be looking at 2 worst case scenarios. They may not be worst case scenarios, but they are situations wherein we sometimes find ourselves in, and if we don't have any idea how to get out of that situation, then it will be a disaster, especially if we're at work. So the first scenario is that the mouse, our desktop mouse is not working. Okay, that's the scenario. The mouse is not working. In this scenario, I'll be walking you through the steps on how to survive this ordeal. Okay, so let's start. The approach here is we'll be using shortcut keys because the mouse is not working. So to do that, I will in fact put my mouse aside and start getting my hands dirty with this thing. Okay, you will start by leveraging on the use of your keyboard's Windows button. So most keyboards that are out in the market today already have that Windows button, and I know most of you already know how it looks like. It's on the lower left corner of your keyboard. That's the Windows button or the Windows start button. So that's our starting point. If I click on my Windows button now, or Windows key on my keyboard, then it brings up this. It allows you, the cursor goes to the search field where you can type a command, an application name, things like that. Okay. So when you click on the Windows button on your keyboard, the Windows key, this is what you see. Now there's a small problem for some of us. What if your keyboard doesn't have a Windows key? It doesn't have a Windows button or Windows key. In that case, you still have another option. I used to have 3 ways of opening it up, but now because of the changes that went, the changes that keyboards have undergone, it looks like there's only 1 left now. So you still have an option called a combination of 2 keys, which are Control and Escape. So not at the same time, but pressing them one after the other. So first you press on Control key, and then you press on the Escape key. If you press them at the same time, it may not come out. So it's like the same as when you're using a combination key of, let's say, Control S. It's the same kind of succession of the speed of the timing of pressing on that key. Again, if your keyboard doesn't have a Windows button or Windows key, you can press Control Escape in that sequence. Okay, so now you can see that the cursor is blinking at the search field, waiting for you to supply a command. It can be a DOS command, which is the True Blue OS or Windows underneath, under the hood. Or you can type an application name like Word, Excel, Calculator, and so on. So in this example, we will start simple. Let's say, again, I'm pretending I have no mouse, and I put my mouse aside to make this realistic. So let's say I wanted to use Notepad. So the mouse is not working, but I have a working keyboard. I will now start typing the first few letters of the word Notepad. As I type it, I can see that I've only, you can see I've only typed NO, and I already have Notepad presented. So it lists applications or programs that contain these letters. So I will just, since it's now, I can move my arrow keys up and down to search for the one that I really want to open. And once I'm on it, then I can just press enter. And it opens my notepad, right? It opens a blank notepad, a new one. And the cursor is blinking, ready for you to type whatever you want. Okay, so I will say, okay, I've typed something. Let's just pretend I typed something there. Now, when you're done doing your thing on this notepad, and the next, of course, is you want to save it. If we we use the old school way of saving in the old days, maybe 1990s, you would use Alt Fs, Alt. It brings up the menu, F, and then you would click S. That's nice. That's old school, but you are clicking 3 keys, Alt, F, S. So we already know this. There's a better way. There's a much quicker way to do that. We already know that. I think many people know this. Control S. So you can just, instead of using Alt Fs, then you can just use a combination of 2 keys, Control and S. Okay, so I'll do that now. And it brings up this dialog. Okay, so again, imagine you have no mouse. I'm purely using keyboard keys here. Okay, so I opened up, I wanted to save my work. So this dialog comes up. Now here you have 2 options, not options, 2. You will be moving around, navigating your focus, the focus, not cursor, but the focus, navigating around this thing using a combination of either tab key, and or the up and down arrow keys to move around this place. Okay, so you can do that, tab, it will go, and then it will, okay, I will not just explore on your own, that you can get this thing, just tab. Otherwise, the other way, so again, to navigate around this, you can either tab your way around it. Tab goes to the next field. To go back, you do a shift tab, shift tab. That's one way, moving around until you get to your desired folder where you want to save the file. The other way is to, if you're already at that location, then you can just give a file name and go. Otherwise, let's just pretend we were at C colon at the very root, and I wanted to save it in some folder. Here it's because I was practicing, so I already have it here. Another way is you can just type in here the full path, right? In fact, just so happened the folder is already here. But anyway, imagine we were at drive C at the very root. So like I said, you can navigate around this by using a combination of tab key, and up down arrow keys. The other way is, if you want to just do it here, you can type the full path like what I am doing now. So I type the full path. Yes, in Windows, it's not case sensitive, so my drives, it can be up or low. Okay, and I can just enter. Why can I do that? Because if you will notice, the focus is on the save button. See, so it's saved, and on the upper left corner of the notepad, you can see the file name that I've given it, file_3. Now the next is, of course, we want to close this thing down. I mean, close the file. You can either go to Alt F and then exit, or if you want to do it quick, again, just a combination of 2 keys, you can use Alt F4, Alt and the function key F4. I'll do that now, and that will close the current application, which is right now the most active application right now. The one on the topmost is the Notepad. So I'll do an Alt F4, and it closes the application, the active application, the topmost one. Okay, so we've done, remember, we don't have a mouse right now. We purely used keyboard keys. First thing we did was to open Notepad, right? Type something there, save it, supply a file name, before that even specifying the location, the folder, saved it, and then we closed the application. We closed Notepad. That's done. Now let's just say I wanted to use Excel. Again, remember your starting point is the Windows keyboard key. And I already mentioned, in the remote case, in the very, very remote possibility that your keyboard doesn't have a Windows key, then you can still survive using the combination of Control Escape. See, Control Escape. Okay, otherwise you can just use a Windows key on the keyboard, and then you can type. Remember, I wanted to use Excel. Okay, even just typing the first few letters, it brings it up, and you can just straight away enter. Okay, now you can see that you can move your left, right arrow key. Now it's in right at the place where I want it to be, blank workbook. I want to work on a blank workbook. I just press enter. Okay. Now remember, we have no mouse, so it will be tricky if you wanted to drag this Excel window to the left, to the right. It'll be some other more advanced thing to, not really more advanced, but I mean, let's keep it simple right now. Just surviving and being grateful that we're able to do our work decently, even without the use of a mouse. So now we have an open Excel file, a workbook, and we want to type something. Okay, name, maybe age, John is 15. Okay, so we'll keep it simple right now. You're able to do minimal work, good enough. You can be productive without the mouse. Now let's just say you're done for this, and then you wanted to save it. So again, you can do a Control S. So it brings up this dialog, and again, you can navigate your way around it by using a combination of tabs and up down arrow keys. Otherwise, we can keep it simple right now. We like the location that is given in the default, and then we can just give our preferred file name. You can say, let's say, and then we can just enter, because you can see the focus is on the save button, which is green. So it is saved. We're done, but now we again wanted to close this. So we can do the Alt F thing to close this file. Otherwise, if you wanted to be a power user, then you remember the combination of keys that we've used earlier to close the Notepad. It will work on any Windows application, actually. Alt F4, Alt F4. I'll do that right now. Alt F4, and it closed my Excel. Okay, so without the mouse, I survived using the keyboard. I was able to work on a Notepad. I was able to work on an Excel. And the same thing, you can apply that kind of knowledge, skill set on other Windows applications, Office applications, Word, PowerPoint. Okay. Now I wanted to open the File Explorer, but again, I don't have a mouse. I don't have a mouse to click. desktop shortcut. But we can do that by, like I said, navigating around using a combination of tabs, tab key, and up down arrow keys. But now I wanted to open the File Explorer. Thankfully, there's a Windows shortcut for that, and it's easy to remember. It's the combination of the Windows button, Windows key, and the letter E for Explorer. So remember, for File Explorer, you will use the combination Windows E. So I'll do that right now and take a look. Okay, so we see the File Explorer opens. You don't see the full view because while I'm recording this video, I only am recording a certain region of the desktop so that you can view it better if you're watching this on a phone, on your mobile phone. Okay, so we were able to open up the File Explorer using the keyboard combination of Windows key and letter E. Windows E. Again, if you wanted to close this, again, if you wanted to navigate around this thing, you will use a combination of either the tab key or the up-down arrow keys. And then if you wanted to just close this, you can again use the combination of Alt F4. It closes that because the Alt F4 will close the topmost or the topmost active application. There can only be one active application, although it's a multitasking OS, but there can only be one thing that it's like at the topmost of the hierarchy or like a priority. Okay, so we have, I've demonstrated the use of keyboard surviving without a mouse. We have worked on a Notepad. We have opened an Excel worksheet, and we've even opened the File Explorer. For some of us, it's a new learning a new keyboard shortcut, Windows E. Remember that, E for Explorer. And the other shortcut we've learned is Alt F4 to close the topmost active application. Okay, so that was the first scenario, surviving when the mouse is not working with the use of keyboard keys and shortcut keys. Next is sort of the reverse. Our keyboard, our mouse is working, but our keyboard is not. The keyboard is not working. Okay, so in this case, we will be using what is known as the on-screen keyboard, which is a built-in feature of Windows. I don't know which Windows version it started, but at least remember we are using Windows 10, just to be clear about it. But I'm pretty sure it was there already, even in previous versions. Okay, again, in this scenario, I'll be showing you what to do when the keyboard is not working, but your mouse is okay, so that you can live on your mouse. Now, what I'm gonna do next is to put aside my keyboard and I have my mouse. Okay, let's say your mouse is okay, keyboard is not. Now, the first thing you want to do is to open the on-screen keyboard. Again, your starting point is the Windows button. But this time, remember, you're not using your keyboard. You are simply using your mouse. But then we still have access to the Windows button on the desktop itself. I'm pointing at it right now. So I'll click on the Windows button, which is the starting point of everything. Okay, let's say okay. So you wanted to open the on-screen keyboard. Again, okay, let me start. Click using your mouse. Remember, you have no keyboard. Using your mouse, click on the Windows Start button. Okay, and then somewhere on the left, you scroll the mouse wheel, scroll button. I don't know what it's called. I think it's a scroll button, mouse wheel. Okay, when you scroll somewhere down, I think this is alphabetical, you look for settings. Settings, it's here. Okay, we started with the Windows button. Now you go to settings, click on that. You click on ease of access. When you get to ease of access, you look for keyboard. Keyboard, here it is. Click on the keyboard, on this menu item here called keyboard, click on that. And then you go to your right on this white space over here. Under this, use the on-screen keyboard. It's now at off position, you toggle it to on. And automatically, not automatically, but it's triggered by that action I just did, it launches the on-screen keyboard, which looks like the real thing. This is your savior. This saves your day, you know. So the next thing is you probably will want to resize this on-screen keyboard because it's too big. It's taking so much real estate. Okay, so depending on your preference, make it. Okay, I'll make it smaller. I'll put it somewhere down, like as if I have a real keyboard. Remember, I don't have. Okay, so once you get that, I can, for now, close the settings. I'm left with the on-screen keyboard. Now, remember, I wanted to work on something. Okay, let's just say again, I wanted to open the Notepad. Let's just say. So I still have my mouse working. I will point to the search field at the bottom, beside the Windows Start button. It's a good thing Notepad is there. If it so happened Notepad isn't here, I can still do this. Remember, the cursor is at the search field. I can type Notepad using my on-screen keyboard. And now it already shows Notepad. I'll click on that. And Notepad is here. And then I can now start typing. But remember, I don't have a keyboard, so I will use my on-screen keyboard. Okay, typing now. When you use the space bar, you may not be as fast, but your boss will love you for this because you'll be able to do your work, although not as fast. So you can even enter. Okay, I'm typing. See, boss, I'm working, boss, so he'll be happy. Okay, some more. Okay, now let's say you're done. You want to save this thing. So you will click on, I cannot do a Control S obviously because I have no mouse. So I have a mouse, but I cannot do a Control S with my keyboard. So I will do a mouse click, File, Save. Okay. Remember, I have no keyboard. I only have an on-screen keyboard and a mouse. So I will now give a file name for this thing. You can move around this, navigate, look for your desired folder location because you have a mouse. That's all right. But typing the file name is another matter. So you will use your on-screen keyboard to give the file name. So I will call this, I don't know, text. I'll just call it file3 for simplicity. File 4. Yep. Save. Okay, we've worked on Notepad. We've typed something there. We can even go down the line by clicking the Enter button here. You could even do a shift if you wanted to capitalize or use the character above the key. So we have saved, and the file name is here on the title bar of your Notepad. And you can easily close this because you have a mouse. You can just easily close this using the exit button or close button. Okay, I did that. So we've survived on scenario number 2. The keyboard is not working, that we use the on-screen keyboard. Let's just say the same can be said if we say we wanted to open Excel. It would be the same thing. You use your mouse, you click on your search field. It's already here, but you can also type it here, XLEX, and it comes up, and then you open it. And you can even do the same thing, the same as we did. Type something here. Okay, go to the next. You can also tab using this. Okay. You can also use the arrow key to go back. Okay. Anything at all. And then you can use the same, since you have a mouse, you can save it normally like this. Here, using the clicking on the diskette menu button, or you can go to the menu using your mouse, anything. And then once done, you can close it normally. I need to save this one. And that's it. We've worked. We've survived the second scenario, which is one in which the keyboard is not working, in which case we use this thing, the on-screen keyboard. And now we're done with the on-screen keyboard. Thank you for watching, and please click subscribe. Wait.